Hey, Dave Melenda here, Positive Polarity Podcast. Hope things are going awesome for you. I'm super stoked again to find somebody from my recent past that I ran into, and then she ups and moves to South Carolina and doesn't tell anybody, which we'll get into in a little bit. But no, all kidding aside, Jessica Kern, how are you today?
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm good. Awesome. Thanks for hanging out with us a little bit. You are the owner of Interior Vision Design Studio, which tell us about what's going on over there.
Oh my goodness. So my background and my career choice was interior design. I've always been a creative at heart since I was a little kid.
Okay.
And I'm sure we'll get into this more with the questions and things like that and how I evolved as a business owner and how entrepreneurship came to be for me. But yes, interior design is my passion. And I've had my business for about 3 years now. And I mean, even in a global pandemic, finding new ways to thrive and being new and knowing not a damn thing about business.
That's awesome.
I mean, I have like started from the ground up, and it has been such a journey, but such a blessing.
That's so cool. Well, and what I love the fact we met because you were working for a client, and we got to spend some time together and things. We got to know you a little bit that way before you up and left the Midwest. Why you would, I see this every week on LinkedIn where you're somewhere near a water and it looks like it's 70 and sunny. Why would you leave the Midwest where it's 30 and snowing? I don't know, but maybe
it's a mystery
later. Yeah, it's a mystery. But the cool part is, which I really wanted to, kind of and unpack with you today on this, Jessica, was you kind of are running, which I call like a dual personality thing. And then you said just dual, so maybe there's more. But I know that you focus your like I said, your interior vision design studio. That's kind of, I don't want to say your day job, but that's kind of been your focus. Now, all of a sudden, something came along, and I see more and more people, entrepreneurs, doing multiple things. So, what all of a sudden is this DTD thing that I see you focusing on?
Oh, well, I just want to start out and like express major gratitude to you because you have been such a career mentor, a friend. Like since we've met, I've just admired your work, really looked up to you.
Well, thank you.
I think when we met, I was in such a different place than I am right now.
Sure.
I had no idea like what my goals were, what my career ambitions were. All I knew that I was kind of lost and stumbling through like corporate America after graduating from UW-Stevens Point in interior architecture and gravitating towards design positions and just kind of like really lost in my career journey because I wanted to pursue something so badly, so wholeheartedly and passionately, because that's just the type of person that I am. I go all in with everything that I do.
Okay.
And I went all into design and it just wasn't panning out. Like it just was, it felt like I was stuck. And I had this like lack of purpose and kind of resentment towards this time and this effort that I had spent and invested in myself to get to this point. And then I was like, well, when will I have arrived, right? Like how many years is it going to take before I don't, dread going into work on Monday morning? And I have the 9 to 5, I have the benefits, I have a great income, I have all the things that I kind of defined as my success or how I define success, but I felt so unfulfilled. So when we met, I mean, I don't want to say it was like rock bottom for me, but it was kind of like I was at this position. I had left awesome jobs just to kind of switch gears and just find something that clicked.
Sure.
And, once again, I had landed somewhere that just didn't feel like it was for me. And it was when you and I were able to connect and you started to kind of coach me through you know, like the whole idea of pivoting towards purpose, and something that I talk about in the DTD method, is something that was inspired by those early conversations that you and I had, and just truly finding some type of like joy and fulfillment instead of anxiety and depression that was just, you know, I feel like driving my life at that point in time. So I was struggling to find that career direction. I had, after working with you, you kind of went through all of this with me. I suffered my first job loss, and I'd watched my parents go through job loss in the recession of 2008. Both my parents lost their jobs at the same exact time. It was right after we got back from this like wicked family vacation to Hawaii that my parents just invested like all of this money into. And then we found, you know, it was an amazing family memory. It's something I'll always look back on and cherish. But after that happened, like within weeks, both my parents lost their jobs. And I was a senior in high school. I was applying for colleges, and I kind of knew how much it was going to cost and where I wanted to go. And it kind of shifted my entire perspective of, you know, is it selfish for me to want so much when we have so little right now? And just struggling to find, like, you know, the selfishness of, do I invest all this money in a career direction that I'm not even like totally sure? I mean, what kid at that age knows exactly what they want to do for the rest of their life, you know?
Exactly.
So few. So I always had this fear in me, like ever since I graduated, and I paid my school myself. I did all the things. I was very independent because I had to be, you know, like you go through these tough times and you have to be that person, that thing for yourself. And my biggest fear was always, what if I lose my job? So I thought that I could counteract that in, I'm just gonna do the best that I can and overachieve and work on weekends. I'll work through every lunch. I will do every networking event. I'll do all the things. And it kind of like, it's training your brain, especially being in the corporate world, that's the norm, you know, like that's what's expected of you. So I did all of that, and I still found myself in the position of one day coming to the office and finding out that, you know, I no longer had a job. So my biggest fear had come true, and losing that position was devastating to me because I had no backbone in my career at that point. And that was when I hit rock bottom. And that was the hardest part for me because your identity is people kind of associate your identity with your career. So when you lose your job, you lose a sense of yourself. And I forgot why I got into design in the first place. So basically, the reason that I created Defy the Default, the DTD method, is because I wanted to create resources that don't already exist for people like me that were at that spot that felt completely lost and in this dark space where you don't feel like you don't want to talk to anyone about suffering this kind of a loss, right? You want to just keep it to yourself, and it feels very lonely. And it's just a dark place, and you don't really know what to do next because you're questioning all the things. So I wanted to design a blueprint for when I needed it most, so that whoever, if you are struggling with your career direction or finding your sense of purpose, or if you suffered job loss like I did, I wanted you to have immediate access to a course that in a short period of time, 6 weeks, you could learn all of the things that I learned that got me to the point today, which is how to practice faith-based goal setting, how to eliminate fear from taking necessary risks, getting paid while acquiring the skills that you need to get the job that you actually want, adapting habits that are going to like propel you forward, and redefining what success actually means to you. So when I have such gratitude towards you, Dave, because literally when I lost my job, you found one for me within, what was it, like 2 weeks? You had me a job, and I felt so lost and so much like this pulling in my heart that I needed to pursue something different, like something else, something more.
Sure.
And taking a position in a like-minded company was something that I already knew didn't work for me. And it wasn't what I wanted, but I didn't know what it was that I did.
Sure. Sure.
So I turned down that position, and I was out of a job for 4 months.
Yep.
And anyone on the outside looking in was like, what? Like, my husband was like, what are you thinking? Like, how could you do this? And
Yep.
you had it all lined up, and it was so great. And it was with a fantastic company. And I respect everyone that I've worked with in the past.
Sure.
And it had nothing to do with their business model or it not being a good fit. I could have absolutely went in that direction, but for whatever reason, I felt this pulling in my heart that wasn't the path for me. So fast forward, I started to just dive in and become obsessed with improving myself and doing things for me and taking the time to just, reflect and practice self-care and develop success habits that would allow me to move forward in a positive direction and kind of use my past experiences to pivot towards purpose.
Sure.
And after 4 months of looking for work and going through the holidays, telling everyone that I'm unemployed, and it's just like brutal. It's so brutal. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. It just it's soul sucking, right? Yeah. Even more than working in a cubicle, more soul sucking than working in a cubicle. So what do I do at that point? What does Jess do? A girlfriend of mine that I worked with at a past job reached out to me and said, hey, we have a position at this place. And I looked into the firm. It was a commercial interior design firm. They worked on office interiors, hospitals, healthcare, senior living, education buildings. They worked on all commercial spaces. And I was like, okay, this is my background. And you know what? It's time for you to put your big girl pants on and get a job. So I invested all this time in finding the right direction. And then I took the exact job that I knew was going to lead kind of down this dead end road. Right. But I needed to have something as that security blanket because I hadn't quite figured out what it was that I needed at that time.
Yep.
So I basically took this job and went all in. And I got a call from the president of the company one day, and he said, I just sat in on one of your presentations and I overheard kind of your designs and your strategy and talking with the client, and I'd like to promote you to sales. What would you think about that? And I was like, oh my gosh, sales is such a yucky word. Like, I don't know. And I just was like, I had such a bad experience with sales, and I'm a designer, right? Like I'm a creative. Yeah. I don't sell things. Sales was always like a slimy word to me. Yeah. So I was just like, no, absolutely not going down that path. And then I came home and digested it, and I was just like, this could really be something. This could be something that kind of like, it's outside of my comfort zone. And if I do it, I'll get more experience. And if I don't like it, I can always go back, right? Mm-hmm. So I got into it and I just killed it. Like I was cold calling. I was hitting the streets. I was doing all the things that, I thought, and I didn't have the confidence that I could do. Sure. And I finally kind of like found this new version of myself, which was like awesome. So 6 months go by, and like you can't even predict like what I'm about to say next. But I literally went into work one day, and out of absolutely nowhere, had a meeting with my manager, and he flipped a piece of paper across the table to me and said, I'm sorry, this is your last day.
Wow.
And back to back suffered job loss, back to back. And I just was like, I don't get it.
Yeah. How did you not think that was personal, Jess? I mean, how did you not be like, I suck, that's it, I'm done. How did you fight? I mean, I'm sure those thoughts came in. How did you combat that?
Well, because the first time I did think that I sucked.
Okay.
I did think that I was not worthy of the positions that I had been so blessed with previous to that.
Yep.
I lost all confidence in myself. But when it happened the second time, I was like, no way. This is not like time out. Like, I'm in the wrong movie here.
Yeah,
like, this is not my story. This is not it. And I cannot, I mean, I'm young. I'm thinking about, you know, my husband and I were married a couple years. We're thinking about starting a family and having all these things that it's like, okay, well, it makes sense and society tells you to like do these steps.
Sure.
But I was like, you know what I want doesn't exist. So you know what I have to do? I have to go out there and I have to create it.
Sure.
Because no one else can and no one else will.
Yep.
So I went home that day, and as the elevator, this is the perfect, I mean, visual for you, right? I'm very visual. So as the elevator doors were closing on corporate America, and I'm looking back at my manager at the time who, you know, I started to think to myself, I don't want to be him.
Yeah.
Like, why am I climbing this ladder to eventually be in a position that I don't want for myself? Like, this is not the place for me. So I had a smile on my face as I was holding my box. I had no clue what I was going to do. And I just had this fire in my heart, Dave. Yeah. And I went home and I was like, I'm just going to do it. Like, I have no clue how to start a business, but I know that I know I can do it. I know I can sell. I know I can design. I know there's a huge, huge market for this. And I want the flexibility that this lifestyle provides. And I know that I'm good at what I do.
Sure.
So I went home and in one weekend, I wrote up this entire business plan on my guest bedroom doors. And it was painted hot pink at the time because the people we bought the house from had this little girl's room with hot pink paint. Yeah. And my husband and I went out and we bought a new can of paint. We turned that guest room that we put all our like boxes and crap in, like into my office. Sure. Yep. Everybody has one of those rooms.
Yep.
And we turned it into my office, and it was like, I hit the ground running. And from that day on, there was no looking back.
That's awesome. Wow. And that's what's so interesting. I mean, I wrote down a ton of stuff, so thank you for sharing that. You know, I think what hit me the hardest is what you just said is, this is not my story. You know, I mean, there's people listening now that they're just can so resonate with that, Jess, that said, you know what, this isn't, I was not meant to do this. I was not created to do this, you know. But then what I like about your stop living on autopilot stuff is that we're so prone to just go day in, day out, do the same thing over and over, wash, rinse, repeat, right? That's our life. So how did you kind of, was it these two kind of back-to-back tragedies, I'll call them, that actually kind of jolted you to the point of like, you know, how did you get there, I guess, to the point where it's like, I'm not, this is not my story. I mean, do you remember that time, that spot? Was it in that elevator or where was it?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it had to be, because the whole living my life on autopilot was going back to like redefining what success actually meant to me. Because when I was working that job, I worked from home. The office was in this fancy pants office in the 3rd Ward with a gorgeous view of the entire city of Milwaukee and the lakefront. It was amazing. I was landing these high profile clients. I was pitching in this conference room that I had a hand in designing. Wow. It just felt like I was manifesting this like dream. And I was like, yes, this is it. Like, I've made it. This is my purpose. But that's when I realized that like finding your purpose is a journey. It's not a destination. Sure. You're constantly pivoting towards this, you know, you have to use every single experience. And I think for me, it was suffering back-to-back job loss and feeling the pain of those experiences that propelled me to not only have a successful business in my first year, but to create something truly legendary that I want to be known for, and also help other people, like reach back and help the people that were in my shoes.
Sure.
To be able to prevent the amount of pain that I went through during that experience, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I think that so what you just said is kind of contrary to what a lot of people think, because finding your purpose, a lot of people think once I find my purpose, then I'll be able to do something great. And what you just said is when you're finding your purpose is more of a journey. I mean, it's not like, I love that commercial. I don't remember what they were even selling, but it was like, congratulations, you've reached the end of the internet, right? I mean, it's never there. And even the success thing, I remember for me personally, you know, somebody challenged me on what was the meaning of success. This was probably 15 years ago, 18 years ago. And it was like, it rattled me to the core, because I'd look at a blank sheet of paper and it just stayed blank for days, because I'm like, what does success mean? And I got to a point where I was like, forget it. You know what? There's no answer to this. It's like, you know, there's just not going to be an answer, because I don't know what it is. I can't answer that, you know? And so when you think about that for yourself, if you're listening, you know, if you're able to define what that success is, and maybe there's multiple successes, maybe they're little successes. I don't know everybody's story, but, you know, I think from your perspective, Jess, when you were able to define that, what do you feel comfortable sharing with us that made that list of success for you? What did that look like for you?
Well, I always think of, this is kind of morbid, but what do you want people to, like, if you were to visualize your funeral,
okay,
like what does that look like?
Sure.
Okay. And like, what are people saying about you, and what are people saying about your life? They're not saying she worked through every single lunch break.
Yeah.
She worked so hard.
Yeah.
She came in on the weekends and she, you know, she invested herself into this company.
Right.
No one's saying that. And
Yep.
the stuff that, for me, success is focusing my entire life on doing things that actually matter.
Wow, that's cool.
And it's not it's not tied to any monetary value. It's focusing on what are my goals for my life, and how am I waking up every single day and choosing to intentionally focus in on those, and how am I going to achieve them?
That's so cool. I love that word, intentional. You know, when the more intentional that we become in our day-to-day activity, you know, I think success shows up automatically. I mean, there's just so many things that show up when you're like that. But I mean, I go back to what you said. I mean, you know, you dreaded going to, or if you dread going to work, or lost in your career journey, you know, there's really, oh man, you know, I can't recall a day. I mean, I've owned my own company forever, so I really can't recall a day what I was like dreading going to work. Now, yeah, you have the occasional speed bump where it's like, man, what would I give to sleep in for the day kind of thing. But, and all, you know, right. But the normal, you get up and you have this routine, whatever you do to start your day. You know, for me, it's just being thankful for all the things that I have. And it's odd that it just came natural. And when I talk to some people and they're like, I'm not thankful for anything, you know, or what do you know, I asked one guy once, I said, what are you living for? You know, what motivates you? And he said, my mortgage. You know, and it's like, oh my gosh, right? When you're
Yeah.
right, when you've kind of, and again, no offense to the guy, I don't know if he even knew what he was saying, but you know, when you kind of when you think about, when you push the pause button in your life for, I don't care, an hour, an afternoon, whatever, and you really kind of, you know, take inventory of what's going on, I think that's really hard for people. And you know, especially entrepreneurs, because they're like, hey, Jess, I don't have time for this. Okay, 6 weeks for Defy the Default. I don't have time. I'm so far behind right now. I mean, you're going to come up. Everybody's got these excuses, right? But whatever you
Yeah.
can do to invest in pushing the pause button in your life to be able to, just do an inventory of whatever that is, find something that is going really well in your life, find something that isn't going so well that you want to work on. I mean, that's how we improve as human beings. So, is there the can you kind of encapsulate the 6 weeks into like 2 or 3 minutes to explain, what that looks like on the back end? What do you see people that once they've gone through this, what are they experiencing differently? Let me put it that way.
Sure. So Defy the Default, DTD is an acronym for Defy the Default, right? But the DTD method also stands for the fundamental principles of having a dream, having a tribe, and having a direction. So I think it sounds silly that we would have to teach each other like how to dream, but as you kind of get into adulthood, you start to break the promises that you made to yourself as a child. And you lose that childlike wonder of, what you want out of your life. And you start to kind of, it loses value, right, over
Sure.
time. And,
Yep.
and you start to kind of just give up. And that's when autopilot kicks on. When you give up and you're just kind of clocking in and clocking out, and then you're numbing the pain to get to the next thing.
Gotcha.
That's autopilot.
Okay.
And I'm so passionate about breaking that toxic cycle in your life, because every day is a bonus. You're not promised tomorrow. You're not promised anything. Every single day you wake up and get out of bed, you have an opportunity to be the best version of yourself and make a difference, no matter how small it is in the world.
Yeah.
So I think like beginning with addressing your past experiences, and the whole first week is based on, okay, let's rehatch everything that's gone on in the past, everything that's been painful for you. I have a 20-minute time machine exercise where if you were in a time machine, if you had access to one, set a 20-minute timer and write down all the things that you would go back and do different.
Wow.
And it's not that exercise, I created it not because I want you to have regrets, but I think so many people they kind of smooth over that and they push it aside. But oftentimes the things that are difficult and hard in your past experiences are what shape you and define you and give you purpose moving forward.
Sure.
So the first week, isn't this a selling point? The first week sucks. Because you're going.
But wait, there's more if you buy now.
Oh yeah, but wait.
Oh my gosh.
So I think it's important to own your past, own your past experiences, to really just understand like where you come from and who you are as a person and what got you to this place right now. Yep. And then the second week is all about goal setting. So practicing faith-based goal setting and figuring out what your top 10 goals in life are, and so that you can use that as a list, as a baseline to say yes or no to anything, to designate where you're going to invest your time. Sure. So let's just say, for example, you have an opportunity to do something. Is it in alignment with your top 10 goals, yes or no? And if it's a yes, then you're signing up for that thing. Sure. If it's a no, you have to say no. And you have to commit to what those goals are. And again, like focus your intention on them daily.
Sure. Wow, that's so cool.
And just the next, like week 3 is eliminating fear behind taking necessary risks. So teaching you how it's okay to take risks. It's okay to jump with no net. And honestly, you have to. It's all about like ready, fire, aim, right? So instead of ready, aim, fire, you have to ready, fire, aim. So it's just, so many people spend so much time lining up where they want to go. And, you know, they don't want to quit their job and invest all of their time in doing that side hustle or doing that thing that they're passionate about, but you're never really committing to it 100%. And I get that you have some people financially, you have to have that full-time job to kind of have the income to be able to pursue what you want to do.
Sure.
But for me, it was all in. I moved my business at the speed of cash. I figured out a way to be creative and to charge for my intellectual property.
Sure.
And use that until I got to the point where I could spend more to make more, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So learning how to take those risks is
Sure.
all about what week 3 is.
Okay.
And then learning how to adapt success habits so that you can kind of like fill this portfolio of, like, once you have success, it builds on itself, right? So you write down every little success and every little win that you have along the way, because being an entrepreneur or pursuing something that scares you to death, you need support.
Yep.
Mentally, you need communities to support you. You need mentors to be there for you along the way. It takes a lot of work. So how can you adapt habits that are, you know, second nature to you, so that you get up and you are the best version of yourself every single day to be able to pursue those big things that scare you to death.
Wow.
And then focusing your time and energy on creating the job that you actually want.
Mm-hmm.
And not wasting your time, because time is the most valuable resource on the planet,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Like, you can't buy time, you can't get it back. So how are you spending your time now to pivot towards your true purpose, and knowing that that is, you know, you're leaving space for that to happen for yourself.
Yep.
And then, by the end of the 6 weeks, you are a totally transformed, you know, you have this guided path, but
Yeah.
it's not a roadmap to success, right? Like, I do not promise by the end of this 6 weeks, you will have all the answers.
Wait a
I can't provide.
minute. Come on now. You have to promise. That's the deal here, I thought, Jess, is there's promise,
yeah.
there's bliss at the end of the 6 weeks, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's the DTD method. Okay. Yeah. It's a practice. It's a lifelong practice. And this is something that you rinse and repeat for, you know, as you pivot towards purpose, as you cross things off your top 10 goals list, as you advance in your career and in your life. Sure. It's constant, right? Like, sure. You have to continually, and it goes back to the sales thing. I hate the slimy pitch of, here's your blueprint, here's your roadmap. When you get to the end, you find the hidden treasure. Like, I talk about this in the course. It's a road trip to success.
Sure. Okay.
So when you're packing a road trip, like, you're getting in the car, you've got your big dream, your vision of where you want to go, you've got your girlfriends in the back, like, you're turning up the tunes, you've got the chicks on the radio, and then you have a direction of where you want to go. So by the end of the course, you have those 3 things, which is the definition and the core value of the DTD method. And then in addition, you have a tribe and a community of like-minded professionals that are ready and willing to help you get to the next level of your career, no matter what that looks like for you in your life.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that tribe a little bit, Jess, because
mm-hmm.
you know, entrepreneurs, we tend to be solo. I mean, we tend to be do it alone. We tend to be out on an island. I mean, and again, there's nothing wrong with that. It just seems like there's a whole lot more. You know, I think King Solomon said there's, you know, that there's safety in numbers. You know, it's good to surround yourself with that. How does that tribe piece fit in here? I mean, are you using them as accountability, a sounding board, encouragement, all the above? You know, how does that work for you?
Well, I mean, nothing can prepare you for becoming an entrepreneur. Absolutely nothing. It is the hardest, but most rewarding thing I've ever done in my entire life. But sure. It is a constant battle of, you know, like, confidence is not something I wake up and I have every single day. Even, I mean, before I jumped on this call, I practiced what I preach, and I had to set my morning up for success. Yep. And I went for a 30-minute run on my Nordic Trek treadmill in Croatia, and I had my green smoothie, And I, you know, did like set my intention on having this amazing day, having a great call, getting all of my design clients wrapped up for the week and making sure that everyone has what they need from me for the end of the day. I mean, there's so many things that goes into becoming and being an entrepreneur that you have to choose daily. I mean, you have to address the self-doubt, and you called it in a past episode that I listened to, your head trash, right? Like the head trash, you need to just like remove that. And it's so hard to do that because I'm telling you, the 6 weeks of this course is pre-recorded. So it is available instantly for anyone who needs it.
Nice.
But before I recorded that first week, I was this close. I recorded the entire day, all the videos, I had it all scripted. I had it all ready to go. And I had this powerful intention of what I wanted. And I hated everything that I did that day. And I was like, how can I launch? How do I have this product launch? I had been like causing so much hype behind this launch for the course. And I hadn't even created it yet. And September 1st was this day that I was going to launch it, and I was going to do it live. And I felt so much pressure to perform that it wasn't what I envisioned. So I felt sorry for myself, and I threw a pity party, and I said, there's no way I'm going to get this done by the 1st. It's impossible. No one's going to take this course anyways. Nobody's going to, like, who am I, right? Who am I to do this? So I cracked open a bottle of wine and sat on the couch, and I gave up. I just gave up. And
8 o'clock in the morning, you were drinking wine, huh, Jess?
Then that night, after I spent a day, and I don't know if you've ever recorded like videos or like YouTube or anything, it's such a mental game, right? So I had every station set up with all the lighting, all the microphones. Everything went wrong that could possibly go wrong. And I just threw in the towel. And my husband came home and he was like, so how'd it go?
Shuddy.
and I was like, it didn't go. Like, it's done, it's over, whatever, you know? And I bring up this story because it's so amazing, and it has to do completely with your community and the people that you choose to surround yourself with. Because my husband, bless him, I went to bed that night and he let me just, you know, sit in it. He let me just be upset and throw myself this pity party. And I woke up the next day, and he came into the room and he put a venti iced Americano on my dresser, on my nightstand. And he looked at me and he goes, get up and make today your bitch.
Nice. There you go. There's a title for a book. What a great title. Holy cow.
And I was like, okay.
That's so
not
cool.
not the love that I needed this morning, but like, you know, it was exactly what I needed to hear. And he was like, you are not going to give up on this. You are not giving up on yourself. You're not going to give up on all the people that need you to do this. So you get up and you do the damn thing. So I did. And I got up that day and I recorded the best content I've ever recorded. And I was the editing went smooth. I barely had to do a thing. I absolutely loved it. And I was proud to launch this thing that I had in my mind for so long that would help people like me who really needed it. So I think it's important to know that your community and the people that are in your life, like your inner circle, the people that you choose, you are a combination of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. Like, everyone's heard that a bazillion times. Those people that are in your life, that matters. And community matters. And the people where you position yourself is how you're going to grow and how you're going to achieve success moving forward.
That's so cool. And I think that you bring up such a great point about you are who you hang out with. And, you know, if you are listening and your life is kind of like, if you're on autopilot, chances are the people around you are on autopilot. I mean, if you want to reinvent yourself, then you need to find people that are reinventing themselves as well. And I know for me personally, when I sold my business that I had and started my coaching practice, you know, I had to be very careful on who my clients were. And it was funny because the day that I sold my part of my business to my partner, he said to me, he said, and it was like Tuesday afternoon, he's like, so what are you going to do this afternoon? I go, I don't know. I had this idea of starting Positive Polarity, and I had, some things noodling around in my brain, but I'm like, I don't know. And he said to me, he said, I'll tell you what, he said, I would like to be your first client. I'd like to hire you for 3 days a week. And I looked at him, and this is crazy, right? Don't do this if you're an entrepreneur starting your business. I said, I gotta decline. I said, you don't listen to me now as a business partner. Why would I want to have you as a client, right? And so I didn't want to surround myself out of the gates with somebody that didn't have the same vision as I had. So it is so important to have that tribe around you that are going to encourage you, that are going to challenge you. Because think about it, that night, if your husband would have came and tried to console you, or whatever he would have tried to do, wouldn't have worked, because we just need a little bit of time to kind of let that process, right? And so if you, because then it's so funny, I see people, if I try and console them, now they're defending their negativity. They're defending their bad position. And that's even worse, just let it go. So it's like, oh,
100%, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I always tell guys, I'm like, hey, if you're in a bar, and when we do conflict resolution training, and I said, if you're in a bar and you say something stupid to somebody and they smack you in that face, right? They just haul off and punch you. If you don't punch them back, the likelihood that they're going to do anything is pretty slim, right? So you just kind of let it go for a while. Just take your loose, you did something stupid, take your smack in the face and move on. But from a business
What great marriage advice you just gave.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah. Well, and it's so true. It's like, man, and we've been working on that here for years in our marriage to try and, improve our relationship. But fortunately, this isn't marriage counseling, so we don't we do advocate business counsel, and that's where, if you struggle, and that's what I do as a business coach, if you are finding yourself out there and you need some tribe, you need some help, that's what we do. I mean, that's the cool part. So thank you so much for sharing that. As we start to come in for a landing, I want to ask you something here that part of what really I'm enamored by with you, Jess, is that you still are doing your interior design work. So are you calling this kind of your side hustle, like you said? I mean, where did the two meet, or how did you just go from interior designing to, all of a sudden Defy the Default? Is this like fighting crime at night type thing, or what? Is this the superpower that you have? How did this all kind of evolve? I'm just curious.
Well, honestly, I mean, I practice daily goal setting. Every single morning when I wake up, I write down what my top 10 goals are.
Okay.
And one of the things that I've written for a long time was that I wanted to create some type of a course or a community or some type of like a women's retreat that would allow opportunity for like-minded women to get together and really just, help each other get through these really hard times and just open the conversation and be vulnerable and help each other get to the next level, right? I'm huge on networking, not like going to networking events that no one wants to be at, just to like drink the free stuff and do the things and then leave. It's more lifestyle marketing where you're positioning yourself with the right people that are going to help you get to where you want to go, that are living the life that you want to have.
Okay.
So when I had this vision of creating something and I didn't really know what it looked like. And every year I invest in myself, in my business, in something to help propel me forward, because I consider investing yourself like a fast pass to get to where you want to go. Yep. Could you learn everything that I'm teaching in this course from someone else? Yes. Mm-hmm. You could read 20 books. You could attend all these free webinars. You could watch all the YouTube videos. But for me, my time is more valuable. So I choose to invest in someone who's going to be like, here it is. Here's what you need. Here's the Spark Notes. Here's what you need to know. Here's a fast pass.
Sure.
So my fast pass for this year was investing in Marie Forleo's B School. And it's something that I've wanted for a while. I saved up. I said I moved my business at the speed of cash. I saved to invest in myself to attend this B School because in the back of my mind, I always thought, well, I never went to business school. Like, I don't have a business degree. I have my degree in interior architecture.
Sure.
So to validate me being a business owner now, I need to look into one of the most intelligent women entrepreneur leaders of today.
Yeah.
And I joined her course. Well, I was supposed to go to San Diego for this virtual conference where Amy Porterfield was putting on this free bonus experience. And because of COVID, it got canceled, but they took it virtual and I got to log on. And one of the most empowering days that I've ever had in my life was sitting in the backyard by my pool, listening to this and watching this virtual experience that I so wanted to be in person, but still took so much out of. And one of the closing notes that Amy Porterfield had on this experience for us was, what is one thing that you're focusing on? What's one goal that you have that, if you're being honest with yourself, you have the time to be doing, but you're choosing not to?
Wow. Ouch.
And in that moment, I was like, it's Defy the Default. Yeah. I've been doing this YouTube channel. I get these DMs from women that are at such different parts of their journey, both in life and career, than I am. And they're reaching out to me and they're telling me that I'm inspiring them in some way, that I'm helping them get through what they're getting through. And that lights me up. That absolutely lights me up. And it's not about me. It's not about my journey. It's about me being the glue and bringing people together and helping each other pivot towards our purpose. Because I truly believe, Dave, I truly believe this. If every single person fulfilled what they were put on this earth to do, if you designed the life that you were created to live, like, the world would be such a different place.
Absolutely.
And that is what I want. Awesome. I want to inspire, even if it's just one person, even if it's just 5 people.
Sure.
If someone is watching my journey, I want to live in a way that inspires them. And that's what Defy the Default is for me. Wow.
Congrats. Well, and I'm honored to be like hearing about the first year of this. So, that's so cool. Where do you see it? Is there sequels to this? Is there other, are you a long-term interior designer, or are you, going to transition, or is that none of our business?
Oh my gosh. Well, my vision for this is, I want to be hosting women's retreats. I want to be living in Hawaii and putting on these events where women are coming to be together from all over the world to, like, talk about Defy the Default and how they're making a difference and just build this thing. That's the big dream. So eventually I want to focus every single thing that I have into just making the world a better place. Wow. And for my kids, when, I want to create this life that I'm able to do the things that I love and travel and live a life of flexibility, but also make a massive difference. And that's the good stuff. That's what it is for me. And I believe in this. I believe in the method. I believe in Defy the Default. I believe in the women that are a part of this. And I really think that it's going to go far.
Wow. So is it for guys too, or am I not supposed to listen to this, Defy the Default?
Well, it's mostly a community. It's for women specifically. I had a lot of inner turmoil of, do I really want to? I have a younger brother and I love him more than anything in the world. And I could not physically think of excluding him from something like this.
Sure.
But I believe in the power of just women connection. Sure. And it's the future of this and creating a safe space for women just like stepping into their true selves and building a career and a life that so many of us struggle with knowing that what we deserve. And I think it's a totally different mindset that it was a choice to create this community that was, you know, a safe space for women to connect.
That's so cool. And I tell you, there's not very many places where men can find safe places. So if you ever find it in your heart to expand it into the, you know, male side, let me know. I'll be happy to partner with you on that, because, you know, I just was at a client today, oddly enough, and, you know, we talked about the safe place and where do entrepreneurs, sales professionals, where do they go to actually create, where they can feel vulnerable, where they can be safe, where they can be, you know, be what they need to be in order to move forward. Because I think, as we wrap this up, I think that's the hardest part about this, is that we're a certain way, and, you know, we tend to not want others to know who we are. You know, we put makeup on, you know, we put all these different things on in our life. We try and drive a fancy car, whatever it is that really kind of hides us from who we really are. And at the end of the day, you know, if I can't be who I am, that means I'm not happy with myself, because I'm trying to be somebody else. And it's hard to be a person that's always trying to be somebody else. Just like, you know, kind of goes full circle all the way back to what you're talking about. If you dread going to work, if you dread your existence, well, you know what? Change it. Make it, you know, make it to where it's like, oh my gosh, I get to go to work. I don't have to go to work. I get to go to work, or I get to do whatever that is that I'm doing. So, you know, so yeah, if you ever decide to change, you know, and open it up to us guys, we'd love to, you know, would partner with you on that. So if somebody wants to learn more, Jess, about this, what's the best way for them to actually get in contact with you? If somebody wants to, you know, understand more about Defy the Default, you know, learn more about your course, where do they go?
So I'm big on LinkedIn. I absolutely love it. It's probably my favorite social platform. So find me on LinkedIn at Jess Kern. You'll find all the links to Defy the Default, for Interior Vision. Everything is on there. I'm sure that it'll be in the show notes on this episode, so you can definitely find me on there. But I mean, Defy the Default has a YouTube channel. So for anyone who's looking to tune into more just content that's available to you for free, you can binge all those episodes on my YouTube channel, which is just called Defy the Default. Cool. It's really fun. It's really lighthearted, and it's just making your journey just like you should have fun along the way, right? And creating like all of the things that you're learning, how to incorporate them into your everyday life, and just, you know, incorporating my little sense of humor and sass. Cool. So you'll find more about me on there. So find me on YouTube, and then any social platforms, really. I mean, Pinterest, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, all of the things. So you can find me, and I'd be happy to connect with you all on there.
Awesome. Well, so we always try and do one fun thing. So what is one thing that you feel comfortable sharing with the audience that they would not know about you?
Oh my gosh.
This is always good, so we'll see. I've had some fun ones so far, so.
Well, I'm like, oh my gosh. Well, like you addressed in the beginning, I moved from Wisconsin to South Carolina because I have always, my entire life, dreamt of living on the beach. And I actually wanted to be a marine biologist when I was a little kid.
See?
But I am learning how to surf.
There you go. Well, congrats. Is it hard? It looks super easy. It looks super easy.
I know. I think It's not. It's not. It's like, okay, so surfing is kind of like if you were to go to Home Depot, right?
Okay.
And you were to buy like an 8-foot door.
Okay.
And then if you were walking out of the doors of Home Depot and someone dumped like 5 million gallons of water on you while you were holding this door, that's what surfing is like.
Oh, can't wait to try it. You're a real advocate for this, you know? Boy, Defy the Default. The first week's going to suck. It sucks to do it. Like, wow, this is crazy.
You can expect like raw honesty, transparent, like totally transparent.
Oh, that's the way it's supposed to be.
That's what to expect when you're you know, working with me.
Absolutely love it. That's awesome. Well, this went so fast. Thank you. I still got a bunch of questions. Continue to watch how the Defy the Default method goes. Can't wait to see, you know, how this works for you. Thank you for sharing it with everybody. And congratulations on moving closer to your success, you know, and what that means. You're able to, you know, start your own company, which is so cool. I mean, you know, first time we met, you were just like, this, you know, that you could just tell there was that kind of that weight on the back. So ever since you started your own company, that's been gone. So congratulations on that. Growing a business is really hard. So you're doing it. So congrats to that. And I hope that Defy the Default goes as well as you want it to. And keep us posted on how things are. And when you do have like your gatherings in Hawaii, let me know, because I'll be happy to facilitate a discussion, or, you know, park cars, whatever you need. I'm totally there. So.
For everyone who's driving to Hawaii for this event.
Yes, exactly. Well, you got to rent a car. I mean, come on. So exactly. Well, or surf to Hawaii, for all that goes. So. Well, awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much, Jess, for hanging out. I learned a ton.
Well,
I got a ton of notes.
What about my tip of the day?
Oh my gosh, that's right. See, you know what? I forgot to ask you. I want to know your tip of the day. You probably planned for this, so this is awesome. You're the first one to ever tell me, hey, what about this? So what's your tip of the day, Jess? I can't wait. I'm writing this one down for sure.
Oh my gosh. So my tip of the day is to leave space for miracles. And let me just like unpack that for a second, because I think so many of us plan, and myself included, we get up and we plan our days sometimes within like 15-minute increments, right? Like we are go, go, go. And we always are pouring everything that we have and going like 85 miles an hour. So my tip of the day is to just slow down. And if you're allowing space for miracles to happen throughout your day, it will allow you to notice things that will help you pivot towards your true purpose and truly design the life that you were created to live.
Wow, cool. Thank you. Yep. I mean, we're going way too fast. I totally agree. And that's why, like I said, whatever time you can invest to just push the pause button and, you know, just enjoy what's there. I mean, we feed birds just on bird feeders, and sometimes we just sit for 5 minutes and watch just to kind of, you know, slow that down. And that's a miracle. So leave space for miracles, everybody watching. So that's awesome. Thanks, Jess, again for hanging out. Super excited to watch how this is unpacking for you. And, you know, keep us posted when there's kids involved, because holy cow, I mean, once there's a family involved, then it really gets more fun. We'll have to check back with you on that. So
yes. And I just wanted to take a second to just express like insane gratitude for you and for the show and for what you're doing and for how many people that you've touched and helped throughout everyone's journey. I'm so inspired by you, and that you're doing really great things.
Awesome. It's good to hear. You know, I appreciate that. Sometimes I take it for granted, and sometimes I'm like, no one's going to listen to this. And then I get a call from wherever, and they're like, oh, thank you for that. So I'm truly humbled that you'd share that. Thank you for being on, because I figured out I was going to be pretty, you know, hard to get into your schedule from all the stuff you got going on. So quit sending those videos of you on the ocean. because that's no, in December in Wisconsin, you know what, that's no good, because all we got are snow chunks and ice chunks. So quit
I
sending,
know, pretty brutal, right?
yeah, quit sending those videos, okay? Or at least put an
Yeah.
ice chunk in there, just so that we feel like we're at home, okay? So, well, I'm sure we'll be in touch, and thank you again for everything, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Absolutely. Thank you.